Danny Cahill stood, slightly dazed, in a blizzard of confetti as the audience screamed and his family ran on stage. He had won Season 8 of NBC's reality TV show The Biggest Loser, shedding more weight than anyone had ever done on the program, an astonishing 239 pounds in 7 months. Dressed in a t-shirt and knee-length shorts, he was lean, athletic, and handsome. "I've got my life back," he declared. Mr. Cahill left the show's stage in Hollywood and flew directly to New York to start a triumphal tour of talk shows, chatting with likes of Jay Leno and Regis Philbin. As he heard from fans all over the world, his elation knew no bounds. But in the years since, more than 100 pounds have crept back onto his 5'11" frame despite his best efforts. In fact, most of the season's 16 contestants have regained much, if not all, the weight that they lost so arduously. Some are even heavier now than before. All of a sudden, the title of that TV show doesn't sound so funny anymore. Who's the biggest loser now? But this is just one example of the failure of standard dieting practices to produce long-term health benefits. And it highlights the growing epidemic of obesity-related health risks in America today, like metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. If we are to overcome these problems, we will need a new approach to dieting. That approach is the ketogenic diet. In a nutshell, it means restricting carbohydrates in the extreme, while offsetting calories by eating high levels of healthy fats. By doing this, people can achieve their goals while avoiding the pitfalls of standard diets. Danny Cahill and his friends on The Biggest Loser are far from alone. According to the Journal of American Medical Association, a third of Americans are obese, a condition that makes them susceptible to heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer, some of the leading causes of preventable death. On a similar note, more than 29 million Americans have diabetes, while another 86 million have prediabetes, according to the most recent statistics released by the CDC. This is a growing trend that keeps getting worse. The CDC claims that, quote, over the past 32 years, meaning from 1980 to 2012, the number of adults diagnosed with diabetes in the United States nearly quadrupled, from 5.5 million to 21.3 million. If this trend continues, as many as 1 out of 3 adults in the United States could have diabetes by 2050. Diabetes is closely related to a cluster of health risks stemming from the same basic issue, such as high blood pressure, high blood sugar levels, high triglycerides — triglycerides are a type of fat — obesity, defined as a large waistline, and low HDL cholesterol, that's the good cholesterol. Someone with 3 out of 5 of these markers is said to have metabolic syndrome, and is at high risk, of diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. According to an analysis of the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, 35% of Americans, more than 110 million people, have this cluster of symptoms that make up metabolic syndrome. These are problems that we face as a nation. These are the risks that many of us face as individuals. Now, why are these problems so persistent and so pervasive? Why have we not been able to deal with obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome? The main problem lies in how we have been approaching dieting. Standard diets based on decreasing fat intake coupled with an increase in physical activity have consistently failed to achieve long-term weight and health benefits. Danny Cahill and those like him are case in point. A recent follow-up study of contestants on The Biggest Loser, published in the journal Obesity, highlights 2 basic flaws in the standard approach to weight loss and health management. The first part of the problem is metabolism. When the show began, the contestants, though hugely overweight, had normal metabolisms for their size, meaning they were burning a normal number of calories for people of their weight. When it ended, their metabolisms had slowed radically and their bodies were not burning enough calories to maintain their thinner sizes. Now, that was not surprising to the researchers, but what happened next shocked them. As the years went by and the numbers on the scales climbed, the contestants' metabolisms did not recover. They became even slower, and the pounds kept piling on. It was as if their bodies were intensifying their effort to pull the contestants back to their original weight. Kevin Hall, one of the researchers, said that he was just blown away by the findings. Poor old Mr. Cahill was one of the worst of all. As he regained more than 100 pounds, his metabolism slowed so much that, just to maintain his current weight of 295 pounds, he now had to eat 800 calories a day less than a typical man of his size. Anything more would turn to fat. The second reason our standard dieting is failing us is similar to the metabolism problem, only this time the culprit is our endocrine system, specifically the hormones that control hunger. The Biggest Loser contestants constantly battled hunger, cravings, and binges. Investigators found that contestants suffered plummeting levels of the hormone leptin, the hormone that regulates hunger. The contestants started out with normal levels of leptin. By the season's finale, they had almost no leptin at all, which would have made them ravenous all the time. As their weight returned, though, their leptin levels drifted up again, but only to about half of what they had been when the season began. A similar study found even more daunting results. An article published in the New England Journal of Medicine describes a one-year study of 50 overweight people who agreed to consume just 550 calories a day for 8 or 9 weeks. They lost an average of nearly 30 pounds, but over the next year, the pounds started coming back. The researchers looked at leptin and 4 other hormones that satiate people. Levels of most of them fell in the study subjects. They also looked at a hormone that makes people want to eat. Its level rose. Joseph Prieto, one of the researchers, expressed surprise at what a coordinated effort it is. The body puts multiple mechanisms in place to get you back to your weight, he said. The only way to maintain weight loss is to be hungry all the time. Poor Mr. Cahill also suffered from food cravings and binges. He would open a bag of chips thinking it'll be just a few. I'd eat 5 bites. Then I'd black out and eat the whole bag of chips and say, "What did I do?" Well, what can we do? How can we fight obesity and the related health risks of diabetes and metabolic syndrome? Nutrition scientists claim that they already have an answer. That answer lies in a new approach to dieting that will bring about the benefits of weight loss and cardiovascular health without triggering the negative side effects of standard diets. It's called the ketogenic diet, or keto for short. The aim of this diet is to achieve a state of ketosis, a natural metabolic state in which the body produces ketones out of fat and uses them for energy instead of carbs. You can get into ketosis by following a very low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet. Instead of eating the standard 50% carb diet, lower your carbs by 15% and replace the calories with fats like avocado, eggs, cheese, and meats. The benefit of this diet is not only weight loss, but it also improves many of the underlying causes of diabetes and metabolic syndrome without the above-mentioned side effects of the standard diets. The reason why a ketogenic diet is the best way to fight obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome is because it fundamentally changes the way our bodies get energy from food. Now let's give a little scientific background to this. Our bodies convert food into energy. There are 3 main sources of energy that we get from our food: carbs, proteins, and fats. Now carbs come in the form of grains, products, cereals, and some starchy vegetables like potatoes. Protein we get from meats, fish, nuts, and eggs. And fat, well, I think we all know what fat is, although there are some that are better than others. We all need all 3 of these, but most of us get our energy from carbs. In fact, according to the National Center of Health Statistics, Americans get about 50% of the calories from carbs, only 33% from fat, and 16% from protein. Now, when we eat carbs, our body turns them into glucose. That's blood sugar. That's a major source of energy for our body. Insulin produced by the pancreas helps to regulate blood sugar levels and store energy for the future. If you consume more energy than your body needs, it'll turn it into fat rather than let your blood sugar skyrocket. Now, one of the major factors contributing to obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome is something called insulin resistance. What is this? So the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases defines insulin resistance as a condition in which the body produces insulin but does not use it effectively. When people have insulin resistance, glucose builds up in the blood instead of being absorbed into the cells. What happens then? The body does what it always does to unabsorbed glucose. It turns it into fat. Additionally, triglycerides go up, blood pressure goes up, HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol, that goes down, and a person ends up with metabolic syndrome. And if this condition persists for long enough, it'll turn into type 2 diabetes. Now, a ketogenic diet changes the way our body gets energy from food. That is crucial to understand. By drastically reducing carbohydrate intake and replacing it with fat, your body goes into a metabolic state called ketosis. When this happens, your body becomes incredibly efficient at burning fat for energy instead of carbs. It also turns fat into ketones in the liver, which can supply energy instead of glucose. So, instead of getting energy from glucose-forming carbs, your body will get energy in the form of ketones from fat. Imagine you stop putting gas into your car and all of a sudden the car rebelled and turned into a Tesla. I don't think you'd be too sad. And it's basically a very much more efficient way of running your body. Now, the validation of this approach can be seen in its effectiveness across everything we talked about before: weight loss, treating metabolic syndrome and diabetes, and avoiding the problems of a lower metabolism and hunger. The ketogenic diet leads to immediate and lasting weight loss. Many studies have confirmed the benefit of the ketogenic diet over the standard low-fat, reduced-calorie diet. In one study, people on a ketogenic diet lost 2.2 times more weight than those on a low-calorie, low-fat diet. Triglycerides and HDL levels also improved. These weight loss gains, unlike the standard diet, are long-lasting. A meta-analysis of ketogenic versus low-fat diets published in the British Journal of Nutrition showed that a ketogenic diet achieves a greater weight loss than a low-fat diet in the long term. They concluded that a ketogenic diet is an alternative tool for combating obesity. The ketogenic diet also improves the symptoms of metabolic syndrome and diabetes. One study found that the ketogenic diet improved insulin sensitivity by a whopping 75%. The effects of this diet for those with diabetes are incredible. A 16-week study found a 16% reduction in blood sugar levels. Additionally, 7 of the 21 participants were able to completely stop all diabetic medication. In another experiment, 95.2% of the ketogenic group was also able to stop or reduce diabetes medication. The researchers concluded that lifestyle modification using low-carbohydrate interventions is effective for improving and reversing type 2 diabetes. The ketogenic diet works. What about metabolism and hunger, the problems that our friends in the Biggest Loser contest had? Well, the ketogenic diet does not lower one's metabolism in the way that the standard low-fat diet does. In fact, in a study comparing various diets on obese young adults, findings showed that the total energy expenditure was 300 calories a day more for those on a low-carb diet. That means that those people were burning as much calories as if they had exercised without even lifting a finger, as compared to the low-fat dieters. Lastly, hunger has also been shown to be affected by the ketogenic diet. In fact, unlike the standard diets that give you cravings, ketogenic diet actually fills you up. This is supported by positive changes in hunger hormones, including leptin and ghrelin. Yet another advantage of going keto. As we have seen, the ketogenic diet can help people achieve their health goals while avoiding the pitfalls of standard diets. This approach is needed to address the national epidemic of obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome, health risks that affect more than 1/3 of the population and are getting worse every year. We have been told to reduce fat and caloric intake, but too many people have failed to make lasting weight loss or turn around their diabetes. The experiences of the contestants on The Biggest Loser are an extreme example, but they highlight the problems faced by many dieters. Losing weight the standard way makes your metabolism go down, increases your cravings, and makes long-term weight loss just about impossible. One possible way to break this cycle is to adopt the ketogenic diet, which has been proven to avoid these pitfalls by changing the way our body consumes fuel from food. If Danny Cahill had tried the ketogenic diet, he might not have ended up quite such a loser.